Alright, well, I'm underneath the cutter here, adjusting our knives. That's all the shims I've taken out so far. But you really have to become one with the cutter here. I'm sitting underneath here between these two bars with this thing spinning around, kind of hunched over. A little bit of a pain, but it's how I got to get in here. So my current task is adjusting all of these clips or guards. I don't remember what they're called, but all these that hold the blades in the right place. So I think these are a little bit loose. You know, pre-warned. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I haven't read any manuals, watched any videos or anything, so I've gone through and done all these up to here. I stopped it here. Pretty much just taking these two nuts off, taking the bolts out, taking this top piece off, pulling the shims off, making sure you get all of them off, and then cleaning that just well enough so that it sits flat again, and getting the right amount of shims back in here, because you know, these are all really loose. This has not been maintained and adjusted in a long time, and gone through and done all this in a very long time. And this end is the better end of the two as well. That end down there, it was so loose. There was probably a whole knife thickness down there between some of the guards. It was bad, and you know, it's still not great. A lot of these are bent or otherwise damaged, that they're just not sitting correctly. Gonna start on this one. Just need a ratchet. I like my Harbor Freight extendo ratchet. It's like see, so it's got, so you can shorten it or you can extend it for leverage. So I like to extend it, break them free, and then shorten it. Go on here, extended, break them free. Get the other one, break it free. Just like that. Pop that off. Oh, no. There's one shim free. 2 shims free. That's 2 thin shims. So I like to just bend them a little bit when they're stuck together like that. Just a little bend, and that pops them right apart. So those are 2 thinner shims. And that's all the ones that are on there. So I've just been using the guard to clean it off. Works well enough. And I make sure that the knives are clean. Yeah, see, this one won't even need any shims in there, because it's, you want just on these, I believe at least, you want just enough space in here that there's a little bit of space between the knife and the guard, so that there's no friction, but you want it tight enough that the grass can't get underneath there. Well, we'll just take all the shims out of that. And this should sit nice and decent enough for me. I like to say good enough for who it's for. You know, we're not super high tech here. There you go. So now, I couldn't even get this one yet. I usually like to make it a little bit tighter than that, but it's just so worn. There's a little bit of play. Here. The up and down play. And it's still free. I like to pull it in and out and make sure it's free. And nothing that I've done is binding it up. And then when I'm done, I'll go and I'll rotate the wobble box manually. Go up here and move it around. Make sure it's all free still. And it's just the same process for the rest of them. And for all that I've done. So, stick this back up here. Let's move on to the next one. Keep going down. That was tight. To give me more room under here. Clean that off. Oh, I should have cleaned this side on that last one too. You gotta clean this side as well. I've been forgetting to do that. Then I go and I And that's the rest. So there's this 2 thin ones stacked again. I just like to give them a little bend. That pops it apart. But there's that cleaned off. Put our bolts back in. These are carriage bolts that go in under here. These are really rusty and dirty, but they still work. So they go in here and test fit it again. Yeah, see, this one's tight. You know, if you bolted that down, then this wouldn't move and be tight, and you wouldn't get any play in there, and then that heats up and it'll burn up your knives. So you don't want to do that. So I like to just, you know, stick that on. Feel it. I kind of go in here, push down in the middle, and see that's moving just a little bit. Just a little bit. So when you tighten that down, you'll have just that much gap in there, and that's pretty much perfect for what I'm doing. You know, that's about as good as I'm getting out of this, so I want it right there. And I tighten it down. Oh no, that compressed. Let's see, so that's really hard to move in there. So that's, I'm gonna wanna put my shim back in there. There's another thin one back in there. Click. There we go, torque spec. When you get to the end here, these end guards are longer, or taller. You can see that one there. It's about that tall, about a finger height. And these are a little bit taller, they're about 2 finger heights. And that's because towards the end here, there's supports that reinforce the cutter bar in here, and so, you know, it goes from nothing on top, then it stacks up to 1 on top, and then back here it stacks up to 2 on top. All 3 of these end guards are the same, but these 3 end ones are different from all the rest, so you have to make sure, if you're getting new ones, that you get the correct number of short ones and tall ones, or if you have them all off, you have to make sure that you get these 3 taller ones back on the end. And then in here, this is a standard guard. You can see it wraps around the blade and it's long. These are stub guards. You know, just the same process for all the rest of these. Uh-oh. Oh boy. I didn't want that to happen. What's happened here is the carriage bolt head on the other side has rounded off because it's old and corroded. So that carriage head, oh boy, I'm gonna have to grab that with vice grips, I think. I pulled this one off and I got this one off. I used vice grips on the bottom side to get that. Oh yeah, these guards have less offset than the others, so you need more shims. Okay, I want to pull about that thickness out. So we're going to pull out, you know what, we're going to pull out the 2 thin ones. And let's try this. Not going to clean it because I'm putting shims back on. That on. I am certified. I'm certified professional. Yeah. Ooh, that's hot. Oh, these have holes in them. Click. So there's our removed shims. It's a pretty thick pile. Pretty good bit of wear. But I mean, when you think about it, you know, if each one gets, you know, an eighth or a 16th of an inch of wear over however many there are, then it starts adding up. There you go. That's the whole cutter bar done. These, I need to replace a couple of these knives. They're really pretty terrible. You know, that one's pretty well broken off and worn off. We'll roll this around. I'm gonna come down in here and manually turn the whole cutter. A little bit of friction. Not bad. Not bad. And also, earlier I went and these tines get broken like this. They break off time to time. So I went through and I had a bunch of replacement ones. I have to get more, but I went through and replaced all of them that were broken. So all these silver ones are new. Because they were all broken. This whole section here was broken, and that was part of my issue, because the hay would get stuck up on the cutter bar, and then for one, you know, pass of this, it wouldn't get picked up, so that would plug it up and cause issues. But I've got that fixed now, so yeah. It's old. It doesn't look the greatest. It needs a lot of work, but it works fine for what we do.